Hi everyone, welcome to the Azure and AI Show. I was supposed to have Arun Ramaswamy with me this evening, but he couldn't make it. So the event today was going to be about Azure Application Gateway. So what I'm going to do is, if anybody just came here for the Azure Application Gateway, I'm going to use Copilot to show you what the Azure Application Gateway is. So the Copilot is Microsoft M365 with Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So we might use Word and PowerPoint to kind of demonstrate what Azure Application Gateway is. So I'm just going to share my screen and we'll kick it off. Two seconds now. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. So this is my M365 account. Just a second now. So what I'm going to do is, inside here, Copilot is integrated with all these applications: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneDrive, Teams, and OneNote. So the two I'm going to do is on Word and PowerPoint to demonstrate the application gateway. So I'm just going to open up a blank Word document. And to have one of these, to have Copilot Pro, which is, I have it here, 1 second now, just to explain for those who are not sure what it actually is. So Copilot is integrated into Bing. It's integrated with M365 in all the different applications. So to actually get one of these accounts, you have to have an M365 account, and then you have to pay for a separate subscription to Copilot Pro, which is about $20 or 21 euros here in Ireland, and that's a monthly subscription of $20. But there is also, if you don't want to subscribe to it, Microsoft is giving a free version, so you can get a free month of this. If you don't want to sign up to it, if you just want to kind of play around with Copilot, see what it looks like in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and that. So we just get back to our Word document here. So when you open up Word document in M365, second there now, you'll see up on the top right hand side here, you've got Copilot next to Designer, and then down on the page, your first page, you've got Copilot. So if you hover over it, it'll come up and it'll say Draft with Copilot. So I'm going to click on that, and because we want to know about the subject, Azure Application Gateway, we're going to ask Copilot to write an article on it. So we'll just type in article on Azure Application, and I'm just going to hit generate. So that will send that out to Copilot and it'll start writing it there. As you can see, I couldn't type that fast. So it's generating, and it's all the different topics got to do with Azure Application Gateway. So as you can see, it's working away, looking over things, getting it ready. So I'm going to open up Microsoft Learn as well, is where you can actually get a course on this, and we'll verify that the stuff that it gave us is correct. So you don't want an AI to give you stuff and you're not going to verify it before you publish it. So that's here we got it there. 1, 2, 3 pages of an article. So Azure Application Gateway Comprehensive Guide. Learn what Azure Application Gateway is, how it works, and how to use it for your web applications. So I won't read a whole lot of it, but we'll do the introduction. Azure Application Gateway is a web traffic load balancer and application delivery controller, ADC, that enables you to manage and optimize performances, security, and availability of your web applications. It offers various features such as URLs, base routing, SSL, terminations, cookie-based sessions, Infinity Web Application Firewall, WAF for short, custom help probes, and more. I'm just going to be checking from time to time if there's anybody wants to join in on the show. So in this article, you will learn what Azure Application Gateway is, how it works, and how to use it for your web applications. And we'll also see some examples of common scenarios. So the headlines: what is Azure Application Gateway? How does Azure Application Gateway work? How to use Azure Application Gateway, and let's bullet point a few things there. Create a virtual network, create a backend pool, create front-end IP config, create a rule that defines how to request router, create a help probe, occasionally enable SSL terminations. So we're just going to click over here to, this is Microsoft Learn. Anybody wants to, second now, just got a message coming in there. Okay, so somebody's just trying to join us there. Give me a second. How you doing, Arun?
Hey, doing good, Frank. Apologies, I
Yeah.
had some
So,
the change happening, so I could not join a bit earlier. Yeah.
oh, that's no problem. I was just kind of going through a bit of the
Mm-hmm.
application gateway with Copilot, you know.
Uh huh.
So, do you want me to? Do you want to take over from here?
Yeah, I mean, probably you could just finish that, Frank. Maybe I will continue from where you had left.
Sure, sure. So what I done was I got Copilot and I
Mm-hmm.
asked it write an article on Azure Application Gateway,
Wow.
and
Mm-hmm.
it gave me these 3 pages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was just going to pop onto Microsoft Learn then just to verify what it gave me was the actual correct
Uh huh.
stuff. So on here,
Okay, I think I can give you that link. One moment, Frank. I have that with me. Let me give you that.
Okay. So I think because you're going to do the
Uh
presentation,
huh.
I'll leave you take
Yeah.
over there now and share your screen,
Okay. 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 Perfect.
and I'll do a bit of Copilot then again at the end.
Not a problem.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just sharing my screen now. Let me know once it is visible.
yeah. So I'll remove my screen and you can present.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know once it is
Yeah,
visible.
I see it there now. I'm just going to add it to the stage. There you go.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay. Perfect.
you can see that.
Right. So I was just hearing your session on on the application gateway, Frank. So quite literally, what you had said was correct. Like this load balancer option basically works on the layer 7 in the OSI layer. Okay, when I say layer 7, it is basically application layer. So what that means is any request that comes in through the HTTPS request. So those transactions or those requests are handled by the application gateway. Okay, so these are specifically meant for the web applications. So where for example, you have a bank site, right? On online bank site where you would log in using their URL. So that is pretty much an example of HTTP request, and this application gateway is used to load or segregate, balance the user request across the web servers. So that's pretty much the definition of what the application gateway is. So once we understand the definition, the next logical step is to understand the functionality that it brings in to the table. Why should one use application gateway? Okay, so the predominant, I mean, the first and foremost thing is it allows SSL and TLS encryptions, which means the end-to-end transaction from the user till the web server, right? The end-to-end transactions are basically encrypted. Okay, so this application gateway helps in terminating those SSL requests, because let's take a scenario of say a webcom or an e-commerce site, right? That basically gets requests from hundreds of users every second, right? So in such a scenario, if I am going to send an SSL request to the web or e-commerce site, using an encrypted using an SSL encrypted certificate, what happens is my application needs to first decrypt the incoming request and then service the incoming request. So that basically adds time uh, to the total time taken to request each or respond to each request that is coming into the e-commerce site. So during a Black Friday sale, right, or during any sale, each and every request is important for the e-commerce site. So where this SSL termination comes into picture is whenever you have the application gateway as an internal load balancer, which means this load balancer is not exposed to outside traffic or to internet. This you can use this SSL termination to stop the SSL decryption, right? You don't the application doesn't need to necessarily do that. The application gateway itself does the SSL decryption and sends the decrypted request to the application itself. So the application is limited only to servicing the request and not to decrypt the incoming request. So that is exactly what they mean by SSL termination. And the next feature of the application gateway is auto scaling. So auto scaling is is a functionality where the service basically increases its instance count based on the incoming request. So since the application gateway is managed fully by Microsoft, or it's a PaaS service provided by Microsoft, we don't have to worry about the number of instances. All we have to do is enable the auto scaling request, auto scaling option, and the application gateway directly or automatically increases in instance count when the load is high, and decreases the instance count when the request is low. So that is what they meant by auto scaling. And along with auto scaling, you also have zone redundancy. Okay, zone redundancy is nothing but you can have the application gateway hosted in multiple zones, right? So what it basically means is I am not only having a high availability due to auto scaling, I am also having uh, a very robust and a resilient structure, resilient infrastructure. So auto scaling and zone redundancy helps in basically solidifying my architect. So that is how these two features helps in the high availability of application gateway. And the fourth feature is basically static VIP, which is called as or static virtual IP. Right. So the virtual IP, whenever we say virtual IP, right, it's basically like a dedicated IP address. Right? So the static VIP, when is associated with this application gateway, it is basically for the entire life cycle of this particular resource. So until from the time the application gateway is created until the time it is shut down or basically deleted, this VIP is associated with this single resource. So how you can use this static VIP is whenever you have a firewall request or a firewall within your environment, you can use this static VIP to whitelist the connection, so that whatever connectivity connection happens within your network is safe and secure. Right? So that is the use of static VIP. However, the for no, the first and foremost feature of application gateway is nothing but your WAF, or your web application firewall. So this firewall acts as the first line of defense for your application. This WAF actually helps in mitigating cross site scripting, your SQL injection attacks, your DDoS attacks. So you can basically prevent any malicious activity within your environment or on perform on your application or your web application using the web application firewall. So that is the main usage of this application the application firewall. And the last and the final feature is session affinity, or when you actually would have read something like cookie affinity, right? Cookies affinity. So which is nothing but if a user has been connected to a particular system, the cookie affinity will ensure that further service or further requests coming from the user is serviced by the same system, which means I don't have to worry about the response time. So the response time is actually very minimal because I already have the connection established with the system. All it has to do is basically send a response to the user. Okay, so that is what they call as session affinity. So these are few features that are provided by the application gateway. And when you talk about the application gateway architecture, so before that, I would like to actually show you the original architecture. So this is how a normal, web app or a two-tier application looks like, or your two-tier architecture looks like. So you have the web tier and you have the database tier. So the application gateway sits in front of the web tier because it services HTTPS requests. or the web request. So application gateway sits behind, sits in front of web tier, and the Azure load balancer, which we spoke about extensively in the last session, sits behind, sits in front of the database tier. This is the normal architecture that is followed for a high availability system. Okay? And when you come to today's session, I would be actually showing this particular architecture wherein I have an Azure application gateway hosted, which will have couple of VMs in the backend pool, and I will also be configuring the rules and listeners to the application gateway. So let's just get started with that. Um, so to do that, I would first get into the portal. So let me log on to the portal. So, that is- yes, okay. Now, okay. So to do to host the application gateway, what you would basically require is, first step is to create a VNet and associate two VMs in the subnet. Okay. Uh, Before that, you will have to create two subnets. So one subnet is for hosting the VMs as the load balancer backend, and the other subnet is dedicated to the application gateway. So application gateway will require a dedicated subnet, and you cannot host any other service apart from the application gateway on that particular subnet. So that is the first criteria. So the first thing is, let us go ahead and create a resource group. I think I've already created a resource group for this purpose. Okay, so let's just look at that. Now what I have done is, I have created a resource group called AG demo resource group, and I am going to host all my services for today's demo session within this within this resource group. So once this is created, our first step is to create a virtual network. I've already created the virtual network, but I will show you what are the options that we should be giving this time. So this is the VNet that I have already created, but let's just go ahead and create one more. The first step is create a new demo RG1, and sorry, this is the okay VNet AG demo. This will be the VNet name, and I have chosen North Europe uh, as the region. So click on next. We don't have to actually have anything. You can involve or you can enable Azure Bastion if you are going to. If you already have a Bastion, uh, reserved for this particular VNet. But in today's session, I will be using RDPs to log into the VM. Okay, so there is no changes. There are no changes to be done here. So let's quickly go into the IP address. This is the main changes. This is where we'll have to make our changes. Okay, so the first step is, I am creating the IP address. Right now, let's okay. Ah, so I have created a VNet address space of 10.0.1.0, okay, with a /24 cider range. So which the gives me 256 IP addresses within this VNet. Okay, so I already have a default VNet, which I will be renaming as the gateway. So what you have to you will first need to rename the subnet to application gateway subnet, and you can probably use the same IP address. Let's just do one. We'll probably reduce the size I'll probably give 27. Yeah, slash 27, and you don't have to worry about any other changes. You can, keep it, all the other as default, and then click on save, which will basically give me the subnet. And I will also need another subnet for hosting the VMs. Okay, so I am going to change the name to my backend subnet. Right, and then I'm going to change it to slash 28 because I am going to only host two VMs, so I don't need. I'll probably give 29 only. I don't need too many IP addresses. Right, and you can click on add. So these are the two subnets that we'll be creating. Okay? So our application gateway will be hosted on the subnet, and our VMs will be hosted on the my backend subnet. And then click on next, and then you can review and create. Since I've already done, I am not creating this VM. Okay, so our VM is the VNet is ready. So the next step is to create the virtual machines. Okay, so I already have two virtual machines created for this purpose. So I have created the virtual machines. I have installed IAS in the virtual machines as well to differentiate uh, the request handled by each VM. So whenever you have request coming in from VM2, it will say request serviced by VM2, and when you have a request coming from VM1, it will say request service by VM1. So I have created these two VMs, and I had deployed these VMs into the backend subnet of the VNet. Okay. So we are done with the first two steps, and the next step is to create the application gateway. Okay. So to do that, just search for application gateways, click on application gateways, and then you will come to the screen. Click on create. We already have one, but I'll show you what are the options currently present in the application gateway. Right, now I have created this resource group. You can create a new from here if you don't have one. So I already have this, so I've chosen this. I'm just giving a name as AG demo uh, hyphen one. Okay, and I've chosen the North Europe. So you have the tier here. So you can actually choose the standard tier, or you can choose the WAF option. WAF option is nothing but here it will act as the web application firewall. So this is where you will be providing all the cross site scripting policies. You will be defining policies for SQL injunctions, like your updates, delete, and create queries. So any malicious queries that comes in will be handled by the warfare. For this session, I will I'll choose standard, and I'll show you what WAF options are available in the next section. So I'll choose standard, and then the instance count. So if you see, I had talked about auto scaling option. So if you enable, it can you know you can basically provide the number of instance count that will be available uh, during the production environment. So right now I'm not enabling it, I'm disabling it. So I'm just keeping the instance count as 2. And the next one is availability zone. So here you have all the zone 1, zone 3. There are 3 zones within North Europe, and it basically shows all the 3 zones. So if you want, you can have the availability zone here. I'm choosing only zone 3 since this is only a demo session. Okay, so this HTTP2 option is for connecting to the listener client. Okay, so if you want to connect to any listener within the application gateway, you can choose this HTTP2. I don't have any listener right now, client right now, so I am disabling this option for you. Okay, and next is IP address type. IP address type is nothing but your IPv4 and IPv6. So Currently I'm using only IPv4, but if you have any IPv6 requirement for your project, you can choose the dual stack option here. So I'm choosing the IPv4, and then this is the next option. So basically you will need to select the VNet, okay, on which the application gateway will be hosted, because this will require a dedicated subnet, as I had mentioned previously. So I'm choosing this option, choosing this virtual network, and it will directly give me the gateway here. Okay, so if you see, I'm actually getting the subnets here. So there are two subnets on which you can host. So this is my backend subnet, this is my application gateway subnet. So I'm choosing this, right? And then click on front ends. Front end is nothing but your public IP address. So you will simply keep it as public. You can, I mean, you can make this as public or internet facing application gateway, or you can simply make it as private ones if you are not going to expose this gateway to internet. So right now for demo purpose, I'm just keeping it as public, and this option will give me the public IP, create a public IP for this application. If you already have the public IP created, you can simply choose it here. Okay. So I'm just my public IP. I'm just creating a new public IP, clicking on OK. And then next is backend. So backend, we have already created the two VMs. Right? So all you have to do is basically click on the virtual machines, and it will show you the virtual machines that we have created. So you can click on that and then click on that. However, if you don't have any backend pool, that's fine. You can simply click yes, and it will allow you to add the backend pool without any VMs added to it. But since we already have the VMs, I'm just choosing that. I'm simply saying my backend pool. Click on add. So these are the backend targets for me, and then configuration. Now we have configured the front end, we have configured the back end, and now we will configure the routing rules. So basically, what we'll be doing is we will be telling the or defining the policies for the application gateway, how to route the request that is coming in. Okay. Now click on the plus rule. You can simply say my routing rule. Okay, and then priority, it can be anything between 1 and 10,000, sorry, 20,000. I'm just giving it as 900. So 1 being the highest priority and 20,000 having the lowest priority. So I'm giving a listener, so this listener will basically listen to the backends that have been created, right? So we have two VMs, and we'll be listening to the VMs to ensure like both the VMs are in proper state. If one of the VMs is out, or if one of the VM is down, this application gateway will not send any request to that VM, and we can gracefully remove that VM from the backend. Okay. So we are just giving a name listener, and again I'm giving the same front end public IP. Right? Choose HTTP. We can give the port number as 80, which will basically mean it will be a HTTP request that is sent to the backend, and you can keep rest of them as the as a default. Okay, so now here, if you want, you can give a custom HTML file to be displayed whenever there is an issue with the backend. So if it is a bad gateway, you can provide the URLs, and if it is forbidden, you can provide the custom URL. So right now for this demo purpose, I'm keeping it as is. And then coming to backend targets, like I have the backend pool selected, and I will have the settings created. So backend settings is nothing but your the how or which backend will be servicing my request, right? So if you see here, you can actually see something called as cookie based affinity. So this is what I was saying before, as session based, right? So what it, if you actually click on this eye, it will say application gateway can use cookies to keep user session on the same server. This will you can enable this feature if the client supports the use of cookies. So this will help in creating a faster connection to the backend, and the response time will be limited. Okay, so for this I'm just disabling that option. And again, connection training is nothing but whenever you have an issue with the VMs itself, or one of the backend, uh, the application gateway will, it will basically gracefully remove that backend option or backend VMs that are currently having this issue. So if you actually read this notification, it will say connection ready helps gracefully remove the backend pool members during planned service update. Which means if there are any uh, backend or VMs, web servers that are currently in unhealthy state, that will be gracefully removed. So if you want, you can enable that option as well. And I am giving the timeout request as 20 seconds, which means if I don't get any request within this 20 second, it will move over to the other VM. And you can also give the backend path itself. So backend path is nothing but you can provide another URL that will basically service the request from another path. Okay, whenever you have the timeout request. So I'm just giving it as 20. Right now I don't have any path defined, so I'm keeping it blank, and the rest you can actually keep as default. Okay, and then you click on add. Okay, I'll give a name to this, my backend settings, right? Okay, which means I have the backend settings now created, and you can simply click on that. But before that, I would like to actually show you something called as path based routing. Path based routing is nothing but, you can think of it like, if your web application stores different data in different path. Say for example, you have images service from a different URL path, videos service from a different URL path. You can use the path based routing in this application gateway. For example, if you actually go to Google, right, just click Google. So these are some examples. Okay, so when I click on videos, you will only get videos here, right? And when I click on images, you get only from images. So these outputs or responses are serviced by different paths within Google environment itself. So that is what they call as path based routing. So if you want, if you have any different paths, you can mention the path based here. Right now I don't have any I mean, for this demo I'll keep it very simple. So I'm not mentioning any path based routing. And then click on add, which means my front end is now ready, my routing rule is now ready, my backend pool is now ready, my listener is also ready. So I can simply create this application gateway. Now your application gateway is ready, your VNet is ready, your VM is ready, your web service is now available for servicing. So how to access this application? So when you click on or when you click on the application gateway, you will get your front end public IP. So this is the IP address which you will be using to access the backend pools. Okay, so I'm just copy pasting this IP address, clicking on enter. If you see, so this is the response I'm getting. So hello world from AG test AG demo VM2. So this request is being serviced by VM2. Let me, yeah. And now if you keep refreshing, the request is now serviced from VM1. Okay, so this is how your application gateway works. Okay, so this is very a basic application gateway, but when you go into, I mean, the whole point of this session is to initiate the viewers or the audience on what the application gateway is. I would urge you to explore more about this the application gateway from the Microsoft documentation itself. So that brings us to the end of this session. Before that, before going or before ending my session, I would like to actually show you few things. Backend proof tools, right? So if you actually click on this backend health, right, it will show you the status of your VM. So you can simply click on, I mean, whenever you have the VMs, I mean, whenever you would like to have the status health of your web service, you can simply click on the heart symbol or the backend health option. It will show you the status of both the or all of your backend targets. So here both my VMs are in healthy state, and which means the request will be serviced by both my VMs. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much. I mean, rest of the things I have already mentioned to you. So this is the SSL settings that I had talked about, where you can simply use SSL terminations, right? So you can simply create SSL profile, and then policies, define your SSL policies, right? So you can define this, and you can use your own certificate to create encryptions, basically the end-to-end encryption from the client till the from the client to the server. Right? You can use this SSL profile to create the encryption. Now, this listener we have you have actually seen, like we have this HTTP listener created, right? These are the rules that we have created. Okay, this is the 100 priority rules that we have done, right? We have configured as part of this demo. So this basically is the very the initiation part of the application gateway. So I would urge you to actually log into Microsoft Learn, Azure application gateway. So this is basically, this will have the entire documentation for application gateway. So I would I'll also paste this in the chat for you. Um, yeah, so you can go through these and understand or you know uh, host these or deploy these services within your tenant, and then get to know about application more about application gateway. So you can also explore more on the advanced concepts like SSL profiles, your HTTP rewrites, and you can actually use the application gateway to rewrite HTTP headers and the incoming request. So you can actually try using rewrites. Try uploading your own SSL certificates for encrypting your incoming. I mean, encrypting and decrypting the request. So you can actually try using the advanced concepts of application gateway. So I think with this I'll stop my session. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you had a great time under learning about application gateway.
That's great, Arun. I didn't actually introduce you properly at the start. So this was Arun Ramaswamy from India on the application gateway. I just wanted to share something on my screen there as well, just to add something else there to Arun's thing. So the application gateway is part of the AZ500 exam that Microsoft has, and it's. Can you see my screen there, Arun?
Yes, Frank, I can see your screen.
Yeah. So it's all this section here: the plan, implement, security for public access. Would that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all of that be covered?
Mm-hmm. So
So,
it will actually come in the AZ 700 exams. It will basic. I mean, the entire application gateway will come in AZ 700. So this will only talk about the security aspect, wherein how you can use private, uh, private endpoint to secure your application gateway, right? So if you look at AZ 700, you can actually see the load balancers there. Non-HTTP and HTTP load balancers. So HTTP load balancers will cover both application gateway as well as the front door, Azure front door, and the non-HTTP basically covers your Azure load balancer and the what is the other one? Network manager, traffic manager. So these are the four load balancers that comes under AC 700.
okay, so the AZ
Yeah, if you
700.
come down. Yes, if you can come down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Yeah, I can show you where it comes. Scroll down, please. Scroll down. This is for Express Route and VPN connectivity. Yeah, this is the one. Design and implement application delivery services. That's the one.
Okay, so everything you covered here is
Yeah,
in this section here. Yeah.
exactly.
So I can see the Azure Load Balancer.
So this is
In,
the non-HTTP ones. If you come down, you will have the HTTP load balancers as well. Yeah, if you see, that's the design and implement Azure application gateway.
okay, so I see the HTTP, the
Right,
settings there,
right.
uh, or listener or help
The
close.
last one is the basically rewrite option, the
Okay, and you
HTTP header
covered
rewrite.
transport layer there. Yeah.
Right. So that is for securing the end-to-end connectivity, Frank. And this is the front door,
Okay.
which is the global option. The application gateway is regional. This front door is actually a global service. So you can spread it across any region across the globe.
So the AZ 700, that exam is
The networking concepts,
it's
networking solutions.
pure networking. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So you
So
have,
they
yeah, you will have the site-to-site VPN connectivity. You have the express routes, right? You have hybrid cloud options. How to design and implement hybrid clouds. You will have the load balancers. You will have few other security concepts as well within this. Uh, the When I say secure, right, you have the service endpoints, you have private endpoints, private IPs, like, all those concepts are being tested here. Right?
very good, very good. So the AZ 500 only has a small portion of it.
That will basically cover the security concept or how to secure your service. Right, AZ500 is nothing but your security engineer, security engineering certification. So that only talks about how to secure your service or how to secure your load balancer, Azure load balancer with respect to today's session. But this exam talks about how you design and implement the load balancing options given a particular scenario. That covers only the security option or security aspect. This this tests you in the entirety.
So it only takes a snapshot, really, so from the networking thing and puts it into this one.
Hmm. Correct.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. So so we have a few minutes there. I just want to
Hmm.
go back to the Copilot thing that I'm kind of doing a bit of every week,
Hmm.
and maybe we just have a few minutes. We might do the PowerPoint one on. We were doing. Second now. Oops. I had the Word document open earlier there, so the application gateway is what you were doing the topic on today. So I just want to open up for PowerPoint.
Okay.
And if we were just going to make a PowerPoint presentation, a blank one, and we wanted to talk about, oops, sorry about that. So here's our presentation. I just opened up on my M365 account, and we have a blank screen here. Up on the top right hand side, we've got our Copilot. I'm just going to click onto that, and then it opens up a section on the right hand side here. So because we don't have anything created yet, it only just gives us two options. So one of them is to create a presentation, and the other one is add a slide about. But what we're going to do is click on create a presentation. We want to create a presentation about what Arun just brought us through there, the application gateway, Azure application gateway. So I'm just going to paste that in. So I'm asking Copilot to create a presentation about Azure application gateway. And these three buttons down here, one of them is view prompts. The other one is if you want to just use a microphone to talk, or you can just use the send button. So you can either hit enter on your keyboard, or you can hit this. So I'm just going to hit this, and we'll see how many slides it will give us. At the start, the Copilot, it was only given 5 or 6 slides on a topic. But recently there, I see it was giving 17 and 18 slides, depending on your topic and how complex the topic is. So you can see Copilot is still working on it. Normally takes about a minute. Okay, so this is just after coming up now, 14 slides. And it looks pretty okay from a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to run the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll see what it looks like. So yeah, there's our first page. Welcome to Azure Application Gateway. I'll skip down to the next one. It talks about Azure Application Introduction. I'm just kind of reading through some of the text, and it all looks secure and optimize your web traffic. It's talking about availability, optimizing your web traffic, introduction. So as Arun was talking, load balance that was covered as well by Arun there earlier, and session affinity.
Frank, we can't hear you. You're speaking on mute, Frank. You're speaking on mute.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry about
yeah.
that. So this was one of the things that Ron talked about there earlier, the
The web
gateway.
application firewall.
Yeah, and so it's kind of pulling up a good lot of stuff there, like
Hmm.
some nice pictures as well for your presentation, and the gateway as a front end. Next one, best practices. So Azure Application Gateway is a powerful tool that provides several best practices and use cases to manage your web traffic. Some of the key features include auto scaling, which Ron talked about earlier, SSL terminations, URL rewriting, and the microservices then Ron that they're talking about here.
Hmm.
That would be
That okay, microservice is nothing but your Kubernetes or your Docker based infrastructure, right? So you,
okay.
instead of a web server, the application would be hosted within the Kubernetes pods. So you can
Okay.
also have the application gateway in front of the AKS services as well, or the Azure Kubernetes service. So that is what they had mentioned about microservices.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. So just going on to the next one, you talked about auto scaling, and I
Hmm.
suppose you didn't enable it in our demo, but I suppose
But
auto
you can
scale.
have, yes.
Yeah, sure. So it's probably ideal for we say a shop or something like Black Friday, where
Yes.
loads of people would log on, where they wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
other times of the year, and your auto scale, Microsoft would
Mm-hmm.
allocate more VMs or more
Yeah,
VNets,
backend it's actually VMs only. They
only
are
VMs.
VMs, in fact. Yeah, they are VMs, and it will have the rules within that. So you can actually think about it as two VMs, Frank. So that
Okay,
is basic. Yeah, that's how your load balancers work. So in the backend,
very
it will
good, very
always
good,
be, yeah, it will always be a virtual machine that is implemented. Yeah.
very good, very good. So that's our auto scaling. The next one, it's didn't give us. Okay, one sec now. So you spoke as well about the SSL termination.
Mm-hmm.
So Copilot picked up on that. URL rewriting.
Yep.
So
HTTPS rewriting. Yeah. And this
and
is
there was the
the
microservice.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So it's giving us a conclusion. Azure Application Gateway is a powerful tool that helps improve the performance, security, and scalability of your applications. It provides features like SSL termination, URL, base routing, and rules WAF, and auto scaling to meet your applications. So that's not a bad PowerPoint presentation. That only took a minute to make.
Yep. Which is not bad, in fact. It basically covers all the important points that one needs to know about application gateway.
Yeah, very good. So over on the side here, it gives us other stuff. Um, so if you want to add a slide, ask a question about the deck. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll just ask a question about the deck. Um, don't know, what could we ask? We could click on add another slide about VMs and see what it'll give us, something quick, because we're up on the hour. And so have you used Copilot much yourself, Arun?
Not really, Frank, because I did not manage to get the licenses for it.
Okay.
So I'm still working on that. Let's see.
So
Hopefully, I should. Yeah.
they have a free monthly version. It's out at
Uh
the
huh.
moment. If you want to have a look at that, instead of subscribing, they'll give you a free month.
Ah.
So look, this is the other slide. I asked it to add a slide about VMs, so the role of
Mm-hmm.
virtual machines in modern computing. So look,
Mm-hmm.
we're up on the hour, the end of the show. Thanks very much for the great demonstration on the Azure application gateway, Arun, and we hope to have you come back again and give us some more talk
Sure.
and demo in the future. So we'll be back here again next week at the same time. And any speakers want to come and join us, contact us on LinkedIn, YouTube, or X. So thanks very much.
Yep. Thank you, Frank. Thanks, everyone.